And we are live. Hey everybody, it's Heather Boyd of Heather Boyd Wire, and today we are at our regular time, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, for our weekly live stream. I'm just going to pull up the video on my laptop so I can look at your comments and hopefully reply to comments. Just turn my sound down. And if this is the first time you've come on a live stream, welcome. This is Wire Lady TV. We do a weekly live stream, and we're just on time tonight. So I'm just gonna click up the video so I can see comments. So if you're hopping on, introduce yourself in the comments and I'm gonna follow along. Sometimes I get a little distracted and preoccupied, so that's when you guys kick in and have discussions amongst yourself, which is awesome. So Connie says, howdy everyone. Connie, you're the first one on. Hey, how you doing? And I think, so I don't waste any time, I'm gonna just flip my screen and get right on to the project. So let me just screen around. There we go. I just have to get this in a good position so that we can see what we're doing. Clarice is on. Hey Clarice, how are you? And Evoine is here. Awesome. And Kathy, you guys are so punctual. That is fantastic. So I just want to make sure that I have this centered somewhat so we can see what we're doing. There we go. Woo, Kim is here and Vita. I just pushed my thing by mistake. So that should be pretty centered. I'm going to do my best to keep my hands in view. And so what I have here, actually, what I meant to do is put my screen a little closer. I'm going to do that next time. I think because this thing, okay, you know what I could do? I could get it a little bit closer. So this week we are doing these goddess pendants. Everybody's hopping on. Hi, everybody. Okay, excuse me while I just push this around. I want to be able to see. There we go. It's going to be better. So we're going to be a little bit closer to my workspace. And I don't know if you guys know my setup, but I set it up on some modular grids. I actually have a video on how to film yourself doing a DIY video. So if anybody's interested in making their own videos, let me know and I'll link up that video. So we've got Linda, Melissa, Rosalind, and everybody's hopped on. That's fantastic. So this live stream tonight is dedicated to Evoine, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's like Evelyn, but Evoine. So if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, just let me know. So this is dedicated to you and your lovely granddaughters. So these are my sketches for the Goddess Tree of Life. Yvonne, oh geez, if I had known that all along, it would have been much easier. Yvonne, how did I not know that? Oh goodness. Thank you for correcting me because I did not know how to pronounce your name. So there we go. Excellent. So now I know. And so here are my sketches for the Tree of Life Goddesses. And I thought what it would be cool was to show you guys a little bit of what I've done before. The reason I did this sketch is because many, many years ago, when I was selling jewelry on the streets of Montreal and at craft shows, this was one of my very first designs. In fact, I used to make earrings that looked like this. It's sort of like a woman in a cage, and I used to make these and sell them actually at the National Gallery in Canada. They used to carry my work, and a bunch of other galleries and museums in Canada as well. So I reproduced this design to show you guys. So basically it's just a frame with a little woman in the frame. So this was a really popular design that I did almost 30 years ago. And then another design that I did sort of in that same vein was this one here, which is like a pregnant woman in a frame. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, these are different, eh? This is older work that I did many, many years ago, and I love doing this kind of figurative work, kind of free form. And then the other thing I did that was goddess related was this one, which is actually made with a pressed kind of metal. And this is just like a kind of a dangling, let me move these ones out of the way. This is like a dangling goddess silhouette attached with a little jump rings, and it's sort of like a goddess, a stylized goddess, I guess you would say. And then what was fun to go with that one was I did the little man to go with it, which is, I don't know if you could tell, but he's anatomically correct. So that was kind of cute too. I used to do a lot of fun things like that. So here's the kind of goddess and god couple. Those are earrings. So this is sort of my background with doing figurative kind of work. And that's my favorite. Awesome. Yes, with the woman in the frame. So here are some things I thought I would troubleshoot for tonight. So I really like the idea of doing this type of one, and it had like the woman figure with, and these are kind of beads that we could do for the leaves. So I think I'm going to get started and just play around with something like that. And so what you want to do to start with is you would really just need to make your basic frame. And I was going to do it with 20 gauge wire, but now I'm thinking maybe 18 gauge wire is going to be a little better. It's a little more solid. Okay, so Yvonne is giggling at my anatomically correct person. So yeah, I have a few fun models like that. So let's go ahead and we're going to make just a frame. So you could do a rectangular frame, or I noticed a lot of the goddesses are in round frames. So we could do, I'll do one in a round frame after, but for now, let's just start with sort of a rectangular frame. I'm not exactly sure sort of the size-wise what to do, but you don't want to make it too small or it's going to be a little bit difficult to get the details in. So let's go ahead and make a frame. Like I said, with the 18 gauge wire seems to be a good gauge of wire because 20 gauge would be a little bit flimsy. So good evening all. So Winifred is in the house. Awesome. And Deb, hello from sunny California. First time. Awesome. Fantastic. That's great. I've been to California a couple of times. I actually went to LA, oh gosh, maybe 5 years ago. And my daughter is an American Girl doll collector and photographer. So we did like a little tour down there and went to the American Girl store in LA. And then another year we went to the one in San Francisco. So that was cool. And my cousin lives in San Francisco and her son is an artist. So we went to visit her and her son at one point a couple of years ago. So that was really fun. So let's just go ahead and make the frame. So like I said, you could do a rectangle frame, you can do a round frame, whatever you would like for the effect to be. And if you guys want more ideas, just Google Tree of Life Goddess Pendant on Google. I saw a bunch of images. I actually didn't look on YouTube to see if there were tutorials. There probably are though. I imagine there would be. So we're going to start with the 18 gauge wire. And then to do the details, I have some gold wire here. Where is it? So this would be the best wire for the details would be 24 gauge. 22 could work, but it's going to be a little bit thick. You want to kind of work with a more delicate wire. You're better to have a thicker gauge wire for the frame and a thinner gauge wire for the actual tree itself, because you want to be twisting and turning the wire. And if it's too thick, you're not going to be able to manipulate it. And sometimes when the wire is too thick, if you bend it too much, it'll start to snap. So let's start with the 24 gauge wire. And I'll just cut a bunch of pieces. And like I said, if I missed some of your comments, I'm so sorry. Oh, we have Laura in the house. Hey, Laura, how are you? So we've just made a frame with 18 gauge wire. And we're going to, let me move that out of the way. Well, actually, I'll show you guys again what we're doing. So we're going to try for this goddess here at the bottom. So the idea, what you would want to do is anchor your wires at the bottom of the frame. So that's how you're going to start, and then we'll just go from there. So all you have to do that is just take your wire, your 24 gauge wire, center it at the bottom there, and then just twist it around. And let's have the wires end at the front of the frame. So I'm not sure how many we're going to need. Of course, if you want it more detailed, you can put more wires, but I'm going to try just to do five wires, because that ends up making like 10 because they're twisted around and pushed back up. So I think if we have too many, it's just going to simply take too long. But if we start with 5, it should be okay. So Laura says, I'm great. And Peggy says, hello. So Peggy's in the house too. That's awesome, guys. So these are the 24 gauge wires that I'm just twisting around my frame here. So we're just going to get it started. And these wires are, I think they're both artistic copper wire. Actually, I think the 24 gauge wire I got at Michael's. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do one more. This actually might be a little bit too thick. I have a couple of ways that I do trees. I actually have a way, I have a wire art course that I designed a few years ago, and I don't really sell it that often, but I do have it in my Etsy shop, and it shows a few like more specialized techniques. But I think for this, we're just going to keep it really simple and kind of do it in a way that you know, people are familiar with doing these kinds of trees. So we're just going to twist them around. So what I want to do first is you want to make it somewhat wide at the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to, if we just take our, see these pliers, and we're just going to bend them out a little bit just to spread them out a little bit here. And then what I was, see what they would normally do is like twist it around, but I think what I want to do is try to give it a little bit of shape. So let's see what we could do. So just, I'm in Northern California. So, okay, cool. Very nice. Thank you. So let's just see what we could do, because we want to kind of make a interesting type of shape. We could twist it around, but I just want to see what's going to work best here. So this is always the hardest part, is to figure out where to start. I want to make sure I'm in the view here. So I think if we kind of go around like this, like we want it to look a little bit like she's got some hips or something. So you know what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to just leave this loose for now, because I don't want it to be too tight. So let's see what happens if we just give it a little bit of twist in the middle. I'm just going to see what, and I could always undo it if it doesn't work. So if we just give it a little bit of a twist, see, in the middle, so it's not too bad. It's going to twist it around all together. That's why you use a thinner wire, because otherwise it's going to be super, super difficult to bend. So if we just bring that around, keep it pretty simple. And then let's try to form some kind of arms here. So let's just bring a couple of these out. Maybe even, just trying to think if we do like 3 of them or something. I think two. I don't want to do too many, because if you have more wires, you could definitely do more. But let's just start with 2 and just twist these 2 to see what happens if we make some kind of arms with these. I don't know if it's going to be thick enough. So we're going to twist these 2 together and then twist these 2 together. Kim says, hi, Deb, I'm in Campbell. Interesting. And Peggy says, you keep losing connection. Now, you guys let me know if you're also losing connection. So far, I see it looks pretty good in the on my end, so hopefully it's okay. So what I'm going to do now is, I think what I would like to do is put a bead for the head. So what I'm going to try to do now is, see, I have the basic shape. I have these 2 that are going to be arms, but then I'm going to put a real bead in the middle for the head. So what I want to do is find a bead that's actually going to fit. So maybe even a kind of a tiger eye bead. So let's see if that's going to fit, because if you want to put more than 1 wire through it, it's going to have a pretty big hole. So let's see if it's going to work. Usually with 24 gauge wire, it's not too bad. Yeah, so it's going to actually fit on there. So in the center 2 wires, we just put a bead, and that's going to end up being the head. And then if you want these to be the hair, what you're going to do is actually, these 2 wires now you're going to pull around to the back and twist around. And keep in mind, guys, I've never made this before, so we're just winging it here. And then on the other side, we're going to bring this around and then also pull it around. So what we have so far, it's kind of looking cool already. So we have the bead head, we have these extra wires pulled around and twisted around the top, and then these wires here are going to be the arms. So I need the arms a little longer, so we're just going to bend them a little bit more. Okay, so these are going to be the arms. Okay, like this. And oh, Brenda's here. Hey Brenda, how are you? So we're just getting going with our goddess tree of life. And we have the 18 gauge frame and then the 24 gauge wires for the body. And this one is going to be pretty simple. So what I want to do is make some kind of arms. So we're going to bend the arms kind of at a halfway point type of thing. And this is definitely something that you guys can play around with and see. And then the idea is these are all going to be kind of like hair, I guess you would say. But I think what I wanted to do with these is put beads on it to make it more like tree-like. But what I was going to try to do is make these strands look a little bit kind of like hair, but then you have some beads coming off it. So, but I think what we want to do too is have a little bit more detail in the dress. And I think what we can do for that is just give it with our, see these pointy pliers? We're just going to bend these wires back and forth just to give it a little bit of body type of thing. So all you do with that is just take your pliers and basically you stick it in there and you bend this kind of back and forth. And it also gives the effect of being a little bit like bark. So that's what we're going to do now is we're just giving it a little bit of body because otherwise it looks a little bit boring with the straight lines. So, and this is something you could definitely like play around with and make it as detailed as you want. I'd like to get something going that looks a little bit like hips to give it to sort of like a fertility goddess type looking thing. But that's something definitely that you're just going to have to play around with and see. And as always, sometimes when I'm doing these live streams, I get better ideas to do a full tutorial after. So I think what we're going to do is just start with this. And then I could also do a tutorial after. So here's our basic shape. I'm going to get some beads. I don't have any really little beads, except these ones, which aren't too bad. These are kind of iridescent type beads. So I have these ones here. And then what I wanted to show you guys too is my collection of stones. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I might or might not use some. But these, I keep my stones in here. These are the stone chips. So what is a goddess? So the goddess is just, yeah, just a lady that looks like a tree. Thank you very much. That's awesome. So these are my stones, and I have lots of different kinds. These are amber. I have the mixed ones. These are tiger's eye. I have turquoise. I have, these are garnets. They're really nice. And sometimes I buy them at my wholesaler, and sometimes I actually just buy them, you know, in a jewelry store or something that, and just take them apart, or even in bazaars or garage sales. Sometimes you can find things like this. So just to show you, so here's some random stones. I'm just going to put a bunch out on the table here, and I'm going to put this on the ground. Okay. And then I think I'm going to use a mix with these type of things because I think they have to be quite small. So you have the same ones. Yeah, the stones are great. Yeah, I really love working with stones. And I was thinking we could try to mix some beads with the stones, but I think for now, because I've made it quite small, I'm going to try to stick with the beads for now and just see how it goes. So I think the idea of this design is you want it to sort of look like a tree, but you also want to give it a sense that it's a woman as well. So that's why I was thinking if you did the main part with wire and then you just did the part that looks like the tree out of beads, so it's going to look like the kind of the leaves on the tree, and then the woman kind of stands out because she's just in wires. So right now it looks a little bit funny, but my idea is that I'm hoping once we get a few more beads on there that it's going to look more like a tree. So let's just go ahead and we'll start with, we have these two wires that were coming out of her arms. So we're just going to go ahead and put a couple of beads on there. Now, of course, the trouble with a design like this is it is relatively time consuming. So like I said, if you guys have any questions or comments in the chats for me, just let me know and I'll try to answer them while I'm working on this. And I don't know if you guys know, but I did post a video earlier this afternoon because we had been away in New York City this week, and I didn't get a chance to post my video last, I guess it was last Saturday, because I did a live stream instead of posting a video last Saturday. And so I decided to, because I like to do like a live stream one day and then the taped video another day. So I put up a quickie video today for the how to make the spirals, because I had several people in the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club asking how to do spirals. So I don't know who of you were on the live stream that I did on Saturday, where I tried to work out the design for the spirals, and we had a few disasters, one of which was an exploding pen, and the other one was I tried to make a kind of a template out of Play-Doh, and it didn't work because it was too squishy. So I worked that out, and so you'll see the video I posted earlier is all about the spirals. So this is kind of interesting. She's coming along, but what I was thinking was because you want the hair to still look like hair. So let's see what we could do to make it still look like hair. I'm going to bring this a little bit to the front a little bit so it goes over her head a little bit. And then, because I want to keep some of this looking like hair, I think if we kind of make it a little bit curly, it might work as well. And this might end up just looking really abstract, but like I said, we're trying to work out the design. So when you're doing hair, you want to kind of curl it back and forth like that. And then what I want to do is I want to still put the beads, but I want the hair to show up. So you know what I think I'm going to do is, rather than, I was going to try to do like a little loop to hold the bead like away from the hair, but I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and do the hair, attach them to the sides, and then go back and put beads on after. I think that's going to be better, because the idea is, behind this is you want to differentiate the goddess from the tree. Like you want it to look like they're one and the same, but yet you want to be able to distinguish that they're both things are going on there. So let's go ahead and just do some kind of wavy hair, a little bit like I did with the woman in the frame. And then we're going to work out how we're going to put our beads on after. I think that's going to be good. So let's just go ahead. So you see how we make curly hair. You basically just kind of take your little pliers and bend it back and forth. So let's just kind of make it somewhat even. We'll just do all this curly hair. And then after, we're going to worry about putting the beads back on. And I think what I would like to do is try to get some really tiny stone chips. Like they tend to come in a pretty standard size. The only ones that I have that were super small were, I have some garnets that are pretty small, but other than that, I find the stones are quite large, you know, when you're trying to do something more delicate. But I'm gonna look around and see if I could have find smaller ones. And the trouble is, when you order stones like that online, you can't be guaranteed a size. Because I remember one time I ordered some turquoise stones online, and I thought they were like teeny little chips, and they ended up being like 3/4 of an inch or an inch large. So there was really nothing I could do with them. And not only that, sometimes when you order turquoise stones online, they actually aren't real turquoise at all, and sometimes they're painted turquoise, so the color comes off. I don't know if you guys have ever had that happen before, but that's really bad. Okay, so Deb says, where do you find the amber chips? Okay, so the amber chips, some little ones I've bought in stores, but the larger amber chips were actually given to me by a lady that she had an old necklace and she took it apart and she gave me those chips. So here's sort of so far what we have with the woman, and then what I would like to do is add more of these other beads on here to make it a little bit more tree-like. So let's just go ahead and bring this wire back in and add a few more of these iridescent beads, which are super nice. And like I said, this would look nice with if we actually had the stone chips, but because I don't have any little ones in this green color, it's not necessarily going to work. So if we put some of these in here, and let's see if we want to attach it back. We could try to attach it back onto the hair a little bit. So let's just bring it in here and weave it kind of back in there. And then what you want to do is at some point you have to figure out a way to make the ends. But if the wire is long enough, just keep going with that wire and add some beads on there, because it's much easier if you don't have to keep like kind of adding wires to the middle. Like some of these outside wires we're just going to clip, and that's going to be a lot easier. So let's just go ahead and add, oops, some of these stones do not have holes in them. So we're just going to go ahead and bring that around. And then once your wire is like pretty well done, just clip it off. And some of these too, like if you find you're not going to use that wire, just go ahead and clip it off. And then you could figure out where you want to add your stones. So this one too, I think we can add some more stones. Well, I'm calling them stones, but they're not really stones. These are ceramic beads. These are seed beads. It's sort of like a small size seed bead. And then I'm gonna finish this one as much as I can. And then after this, let's try one in the round frame. And then if you guys do make these goddesses, be sure to post pictures in the Facebook group, because I would love to see what you guys come up with. This is just sort of like a prototype thing, and you guys are always so patient staying online with me when I'm working out these designs, because sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And sometimes the internet works and sometimes it doesn't. So let's just go ahead and do this. Clarice says, love it. Awesome. Very pretty from Amy. And you've never heard of the goddess? Yeah, I actually hadn't heard of a Tree of Life goddess, and it was Yvonne that had mentioned it in the Facebook group, and I said, oh well, that's a cool idea to try that. So that's the why of the live stream tonight. So, and some of the images I saw on Google were much clearer looking than this, but this is, like I said, it's just an experiment to see if it's something that's going to work. I'm not too sure. So I'm just going to keep adding beads until it's a little bit filled out here. And we're almost done. I think it's just about done. If we just put a little bit more beads on the other side. So you know what, this one here, I'm going to clip off. Like I said, it's better to not have to add beads or wires as well. So I cut my wires originally at a pretty decent length, so I wouldn't have to add extra wires at all. Okay, so that's pretty well it for adding beads and wire. And let's just see if we can make it look good in the adjustments, because sometimes it's in the adjustments and the finishing touches that it looks good. So it doesn't super look like a goddess. So let's just see what we can do. We know it's a goddess because she's got a bit of a head there, and there's her. It's pretty, but it's not, doesn't look too much like a goddess. So let me see if I can adjust it a little bit to see how it goes. So Kat's here. Hey Kat, how are you? She's looking awesome already. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, this is just a real prototype. So we're gonna see how it works. I think if we spread her arms out a little bit, and then we want to make her neck a little more narrow. Okay, a little more narrow. And her hair is getting a little bit hidden in the stones here. So I don't know if she should have had that much stones or not. And let's see, Kat says, I love the Tree of Life. Cool, that's awesome. Well, she's kind of looking more like a tree than a goddess. Let's try to spread the bottom out a little bit too, because if she has a wider bottom, maybe she's going to look a little bit more like she's wearing a dress. I think that's the idea. You kind of want the bottom to look less like a tree and more like she's kind of wearing a dress. So we can just push it out a little bit more and then push that one in here. And it's not too bad, you know, I think it's coming along. And then we can spread that a little bit. And the more you do like kind of wavy movements, the more it's going to look like she's kind of dancing type of thing. So we can just spread this out. To spread the wires, you just put them in and then you just do like a little flick of the wrist type of thing. So, but I don't want it to be too exaggerated either. So this is not too bad. So this is sort of my first attempt. Cass says I'm watching Game of Thrones. That's hilarious. Oh, Yvonne, you love her. I'm so happy. So there she is. So there's number one. Not bad for a first attempt because I don't really know what I'm doing here. And then let's see these other sketches. So there's this one I thought would be cute too, just with the heart bead in the middle. So why don't we try to do one a little bit more like that? So let's go for a round base for that. And I'll just find so here's my 18 gauge wire again. And let's just cut a little piece of the 18 gauge. This is a nice wire actually. This is, I think it's brass, artistic wire, but I'm pretty sure it's the brass. I don't think this is copper. I've got a little, whoops, I got a little sticker on there. Sorry guys, I just pushed this by mistake. Wait, let me just try to fix this. Oh, there we go. Is that better? Oh boy, sorry about that. I'm gonna get you guys seasick. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do a round shape. So we're going to get this. Kat saying good night. She's going to watch a Game of Thrones. That's all good. I actually don't really watch TV, but if you guys have any good suggestions for Netflix or Amazon Prime movies, I would super appreciate it because my daughter and I are always trying to find good movies, and it's really hard to find good movies on Netflix. And I don't really like watching series because I don't like getting hooked on different series. So here we go. So we have the round shape, and let's make it a good size. So we're just going to kind of push it a little bit more to make it a little bigger kind of circle. You could do an oval shape, but I think the circle would be nice for this one. So here's the circle, and we'll just finish it off. So to finish it off, we're just going to take the pliers. I always like to start it with the pliers. It just works a little better that way. And then we're going to bend that around, cut this off, and make a loop at the top. So that's the easy part, is just making the basic round form. So we're gonna go for that and wind it around a couple of times. Okay, so this is gonna be our basic base for the goddess. And I forgot to check if I have a heart bead. I know I have one somewhere. I have this little one, but it's actually not that nice. So I'm just gonna turn around behind me and I'm gonna put this here. Well, I just turn around behind me and get some, I have some more heart beads. I just have to find them. They're in my cupboard somewhere. Oh, here we go. There we go. I have a whole bunch of heart beads here. So let's get some out of the bag. And I think like a nice red one would be good. So here's, I have red hearts. I have a lot of heart beads. I have light blue ones. I usually order all these on Etsy. So if ever you guys are looking for interesting beads, that's the best way to get beads, I think. So Miss Nancy Lee says maybe make her head bead a different color than the hair. That's a really good suggestion. Yeah, that's a great idea because it's a little bit dark. You're absolutely right. So there we go. So let's go ahead and make this girl, and then yeah, why don't we get a lighter bead or a different color bead for her head? So this time, so actually I have a whitish bead, and I have this one. Should we? Well, you guys tell me what color you want for her. I think this one's a little bit big, but I have. Is that going to be? This one's a little big too. Let me see if I have a smaller one in here. I'm just thinking for the size of the round thing, that one might be a little bit big. So I'm going to see what else. I have a ton of hearts here. Do you guys like the red or the blue for the heart? Yeah, I'm trying to find one that's a decent size. I have a bunch here. Let's get a bunch out of the bag and see. So Deanne says Netflix Dead to Me is a mini series, only 10, 30-minute episodes. I think I saw that one advertised on there. I think I did. Oh, here's a little, actually, here's a little blue heart. Why don't we use that one just size-wise? Oh, Yvonne says red. It's all good. We could do red. We could do red. I just have to see what size then. I have two reds. I have the big red and I have the small red. Let me, oh, and Deanne says blue. So guys, look at the sizes though. Let's just see these sizes because I think the red might be a little bit big. So we have, yeah, red's a little bit big for what we're doing, I think. And, or I have, this blue's a little smaller. I have the little red in there. It doesn't matter. So I'm just wondering size-wise, the blue or the little red might be good. Maybe the little red. Let's try the little red and see. So I'm going to get a bunch. Oh, Yvonne says blue now. Okay, let's do blue. It's a medium size. So let me just get a bunch of these wires again to get started for the skirt. And I'm going to cut them about the same size. Okay, and this one is going to look less like a tree and more like a goddess. So that's good to have two kind of options. And then, like I said, if you guys make some and want to post pictures in the group, I know Yvonne already posted a picture and that was really beautiful. Did you make any more, Yvonne, after that one that you posted in the group? Because you did an amazing job for your first time. That was really cool. So here's our, I'm going to start again with 5 wires and let me move some of this stuff out of the way. So same idea. Here's our frame, and let's just go ahead and make sure when you put the wires in there that you center them. So we're just going to go in there and center this wire like that. Okay, and give them a little bit of space in between each one. So nope, because I was waiting for you. Ha ha ha, you're funny. Well, I don't know if I could make it as nice as you did, because the one that you did was similar to this one I'm doing now. So you guys are really amazing. In fact, a lot of the work that I see in the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club is so impressive. Like that wire weaving, I've never done it before, and I've actually been holding off because it looks super complicated. I had a little kind of flash last night. I had sort of a vision of how I could do some interesting wire weaving, and it actually, I'm someone that likes to develop like little gadgets and stuff, so I had this idea for how to make a kind of mini loom for wire weaving. So I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to definitely work on that idea and see what I can do. In fact, maybe I should do a live stream, Heather troubleshooting wire weaving. It might be a bit of a joke because some of you guys are so good at it already, but it could be fun. It could be really fun. So if we have like a skirt kind of thing going on like that, I think what I want to do is just kind of pull it in the middle here, but instead of twisting it like I did before, small blue. Okay, small blue for the is very pretty. Perfect. So we'll do the small blue one. So what I'm going to do is just, rather than twist all the wires together, I'm going to hold it in place, take one of the longer wires, because some of them are shorter than others, and then just wind this one around a couple of times, okay? So if we wind it around a couple of times, this is going to become sort of our waistband of the dress. So if we do like that, we're going to make that our waistband. But then what we want to do is we do want to spread these wires. And I'm thinking we should probably spread them before I start the rest of the body. But at least we have sort of a basic shape with a kind of a waistband going down there, like for her dress. And so what we want to do now is just take our little pliers, okay, and we're going to push this. Some of them, they're not super centered properly, but we're going to see what we can do about that. So if we take this one, our pliers, and just push it up a little bit, because what we want to do is kind of make it go out a bit at the top for her hips. Okay, these, I didn't like really arrange it too well, these wires, because some of them kind of overlapped in a funny way. But the idea, you can make it a little bit wavy, kind of like what I did for the hair. This is really odd. I'm not sure what happened with these. They got overlapped in a funny way, but we're still going to try it. So we're going to go out like that. And I think if you do kind of like bend the wire back and forth, it just makes it look a little more interesting, and it also gives it a little bit of an impression of looking like a tree, like looking like a bit like the bark in the tree. In fact, I thought I had an idea for how to make something that looks more bark-like, but I won't have time to do that today as well. But I think if we just start with this type of thing, it's kind of cool. Like, it gives it volume and it makes it look interesting. So what gauge wire is your body? So the body wires are 24 gauge, and the base is made out of 18 gauge. So now what I want to do is I'm going to put the heart bead in the middle, and I don't know how many wires are going to fit through it, but maybe 1 or 2. So let's just try to spread these on either side, just so we know where the middle wire is. Okay, we're going to bring these around like that. So say we have, how many on each side? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like 5 on this side. So why don't we bring up 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because you want it somewhat centered. So let's see if we could get our 2 center wires. I'm just going to see if they're, because they're overlapped in a funny way. So let's get 4 on each side, and then these 2 in the middle. And let's see if this blue bead is going to fit on both wires. And if not, no worries, we'll just stick it on one of the wires. So we're going to put our heart bead there, and I'm going to see, oh, it is going to fit on 2. Well, that's a miracle. So we're going to put it on the 2 wires. And like I said, if it didn't work, we could have put it on 1 wire. So Heather, I used your other goddess body for my, for the skeleton. Oh, okay. Use your other goddess body for the skeleton of mine. Did I see a picture of that? I'm a little bit confused now. I forget exactly what that was. So let's just put this bead right down. So you see, it already looks pretty cool, guys. So this is like sort of the body type thing will be here, like the heart body. If you need it to go down a little lower, just spread these a little bit more and kind of push it down a little bit, kind of crunch it down if you have to. So that's kind of pretty. And then we need the head. So why don't we try for like a light color head, because that was a great suggestion to do a contrasting lighter color for the head. So let's see if it's also going to fit on 2 wires. It does. So far, ooh, it's looking pretty good, guys. So here's the body and the head. And then what we want to do is pull some of these wires around to make the arms, okay? And actually, I think we're going to want to use all of these wires, but let's hide 4 of the wires behind. Okay, all we're going to do is stick them straight up, okay? Because these are going to become the hair. So we're going to stick 4 of the wires straight up behind. We're just going to forget about them and wrap them in with the other wires. And then to make the arms, let's go ahead and take these 2 here and pull them around back. Okay, this is going to be tricky because we want all of these wires in the middle to be held together. Okay, I'm talking like I know what I'm doing, but I'm not actually really exactly knowing what I'm doing, so we're going to see. So now we're going to take these 2 wires and bend them around the neck, and making sure all the wires are staying at the back. So we're going to bend these around. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going to bend them around the neck to that, and then put them to that side. And then these, you're going to do the opposite with these other 2 wires. You're going to bring them up and bend them around the neck, but we're catching the other hair wires at the same time. So we're going to go like that, and that becomes sort of like a neck thing. These wires are getting pushed to the back. We just caught them in place so they would be kind of hidden there. And then we're going to, so these will definitely form the arms. And then all of these wires that you have now together behind the head, they're actually going to come up behind the head. And let's do the same thing. We'll separate them. So we have 2 and 2. So these two, we're going to wrap around the top. Okay, we're going to wrap it around the top of the head. See where these 2 wires are sticking out of the head bead? We're going to wrap these 2 one way, and then the opposite of these last 2. I should actually make a pattern for this because it's starting to make a little bit of sense here. So we're going to bring this one around and wrap them here. So what we have going on, we have the arms are 2 wires on each side. There's the hair. And then all we have to do with these other 2 wires that are sticking out the top of the head is just put one to each side. Okay, so then we end up having 3 wires on each side for the hair, and then these 2 for the arms. So now what do? And if you find she ends up being too tall, you know what we could do? We could cheat. We could turn this into an oval. I think I've done that before. So instead of her being a circle now, she's going to be sort of an oval because we need it to be a little bit taller. So that's what you call a total cheat. So it looks good. Love this one. So it's coming along. Okay, so now let's just separate this one a little bit. And I'm sure with practice, this one could become much better. Like for now, it's just a prototype, but I think it's gonna be good. So let's just push it in a little bit more to make it a little bit taller because she ended up being quite tall. So now for the arms, why don't we try to twist them again? Let's just try to twist them again. So we're just going to twist these to be the arms. So see how that goes. A loose twist, I think. So we're just going to do this. We'll do like a loose twist for the arms. Okay, I haven't figured out quite what I'm going to do for the hands yet. So there we go. We're going to just twist those around. And maybe what do you guys think? Should we put beads for the hands or just like maybe wires for the hands? Maybe just little circles? Let's see how it looks with just a little circle. So if I take this and just make the hand sort of into a little circle thing. Let's just see how it goes. If we just, or a spiral, I wonder if that would look, how that would look. Just gonna play around with it a little bit. That's kind of cool for a little spiral. Let's see if that works for, if we did like a little spiral hand. I'm not quite sure here. We could do a bead. Let's see what the difference is. If we did a bead, okay, we could put like a little, no, I don't like the bead. Okay, so let's just try a little spiral. We got nothing to lose, right? Because it's all experimental. So let's do, not adapting. Oh, I can't read that. Not ting adapting. I think that I'm not quite sure what that comment means, but that's all good. I'm definitely adapting. I'm definitely like playing around and adapting. So let's just do like a spiral. And this is interesting because I put up a spiral video today. So that's kind of fun. And then we're just going to clip the spiral like that. And then to hold it in place, I think I'll just make it secure. I'll just secure it to the edge of that. Either that or I could even leave it. You know, I could secure it there, but I think I'm going to just leave it. I'm just going to cut it off. And this one too, I think I'm just going to play around with it. And then we can position the arms in any way we want, right? So let's just kind of do a little spiral thing going here. Very abstract spiral. We're going to cut the end. Same thing, we're just going to cut the back off. And then, you know, if you, with your flat pliers, you can always tuck the ends in a little bit as well. So here she is so far. I thought that's what you meant. So there we go. So let's do the hair. We're just going to do the hair, and then she's going to be pretty well done. So you only have 6 strands left for the hair. You could do this with more wires if you want, but this seems to be a good number of wires, okay? Not too bad. Some of the little ends I'm gonna have to clip a little more. They're kind of sticking out. So let's, we could, you know what we could do? Instead of doing the back and forth bending for the hair, let's do something different. I'm gonna get a thicker wire. So let me get a piece of the 18 gauge wire, and I'll show you another way that we can do hair. That's an interesting thing to do. Instead of doing like back and forth bends, let's do little springs. So we're gonna have a thicker wire. It's 24 gauge wire, and we're going to take each individual hair and wind it around this thicker wire. So let's go for this. So Judy Ford says, holding one of the small hearts in her hands. Oh, that'd be pretty. That's a great idea, actually. Medusa so far. Edith says, yes, it looks a bit like Medusa. You're right. Ooh, that would be a good one too with the snakes in the hair. That would be awesome. So we're just going to quickly as I can, just make little springs for the hair. See, it kind of looks cool like that too. And it's actually easier and faster than doing the back and forth kind of bends. So we're just going to take that and wind it around to give her, this is like she's a modern girl. She's got like a curling iron. So that's our, I guess they call it curling wands. My daughter had bought one of those for her prom one year, and I think I've actually used it. It's quite fun. I might pull it out again if I want curly hair one day. I mean, I do have curly hair, but it is not really even curls. So Deb says, not a cheat. Okay, yes, creative evolution. Absolutely, you're right. It's not a cheat. It's all in the wording, eh? It's a process. It's a creative process. And you guys are on the ground floor of these designs. So I think that's really cool. And you always give me good ideas for solutions for things, and you're great cheerleaders, which is amazing. So we're just gonna curl all her hair. And I tend to do things like I tend to make them really even, and sometimes I like things when they're a little more uneven. But I think when you've been doing something for such a long time, your brain kind of has a memory, and it tends to do things sort of in the same way all the time. And sometimes I find my designs like too tight and too like kind of quote unquote perfect. But you know, that's why I love kids' art, because it's so free and so wonderful and so loose. And my goals is to have artwork that's more loose and open type of thing. Okay, so Miss Nancy Lee says that looks good. So cool, good job, thank you. And yes, spirals. So here's, oh wow, she's having a bad hair day, so we should probably tighten it up a little bit, but it's looking cool. So let's find a way now. We're just going to attach the hair to the frame to keep it in place. So let's go ahead, and because we don't want any pokey ends, so let's just go ahead and take these ends and get our flat pliers and just pull them around. Okay, we're going to turn it around. Just take the end, and then we want to clip it. And you can go in after with your flat pliers and really tighten up, you know, some of these ends. And you can definitely go in and like kind of pinch in the ends so you don't have any little pokey ends, especially for the pendant. You don't want anything scratching your skin. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, kind of show you guys how it's going to look. And then all the finishing tightening up bits I'm going to do that after, because that's going to take a while to tighten up all the ends. And what you also might want to do, here we could push these, if these are too loose, we could push them in again. What you also might want to consider doing is doing different color wires too. They don't all have to be the same color. You could definitely use a variety of colors of wire. That would be super cool. And seems to be the 24 gauge seems to be like a perfect gauge wire to do this. If you were using 22 gauge, I feel like it would be much too thick. You're not going to be able to get the same details. So let's just go ahead and get all of these hairs clipped in place. And I like the idea of putting a heart in her hand. I think that's a sweet idea. Some kind of heart bead or something. I think that would be really, really cool. So let me just see how the hair is going here. And we're just going to pull this one around here. And then we'll be almost done. And then it'll just be the finishing up touches. So we're going to see, okay, so now all our ends are tucked in, and here she is. So now you just want to even it out because her hair is a little crooked and stuff. And then here's her hands. We can spread these out. This is the skirt, maybe push it down a little bit more. And let's see if we can shape the arms a little bit, maybe bend the arms a little bit. Yeah, so they're kind of like, let's see what we can do. I'm just gonna bring this up so that shoulders, so it sits a little bit above the heart so we can still see the arms. Okay, it's a little bit tricky bending the arms when they're twisted like that. And this one too, we're gonna kind of bring it down and across. The arms, the hands are a little bit big after all. But yeah, you could definitely put some, like maybe a little bead or something in the hand. You could really use your imagination, but this seems to be a good design for the basic shape of the goddess. Wow, she's kind of cute. So the hair is a little crazy. It went a little nuts, but it's not too bad. So let's put them both together and see what we did. So this one and this one, and you guys can vote on your favorite design and let me know which one you liked. And then what I'll do is I'll do better pictures in the Facebook group so you guys can see an up close picture of what they look like. Let me just bring this a little closer down so we can see them. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So we have the goddess on one side with the heart bead. Let's see if we can bring it over a little bit more. And then this one, oh, there it is. And yeah, definitely this one would look better with the bead with a lighter color, but it's sort of just the idea. So there we go. Ah, great job. Thank you. So yeah, so if you guys want to try to make some of these and put them in the Facebook group, the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club, that would be awesome. Yvonne says, as usual, I'm in awe. That's so cool. So let me flip the screen so I can say goodbye to you guys. I'm going to bring this. Yay. Whew. I'm exhausted. That was fun. That was a long one because that was quite an intricate project, but it was so much fun. I'm really happy. I can't believe you guys stayed on for an hour watching me. I'm so grateful. And I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the Facebook group, to the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club. We have such a wonderful time, such a supportive group. Always get amazing ideas in there. And yeah, so I'm working on a special project this week for Saturday's video. And then if you guys ever have ideas for live streams or anything you want me to do, just let me know. And if you're not on Facebook, just send me a little email or comment on one of my videos and let me know if you have some other ideas. And I'm always open to suggestions. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thanks everybody for watching. And we'll definitely see you Saturday. Well, on a tape video Saturday and another live stream next week. So have a great